What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Open Late with Nev and Kev.
Yeah, Zersky.
Brother, who are you?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm Nev.
And I'm Kev. What's going on?
Yeah, I always feel so corny doing that.
I know. I like we say it just about every time. The fact that it's corny, now I'm like making sure we do it.
Now it's like expected, huh?
Yeah, at some point, I feel like we cut the shit.
Yeah, just
right
cut
now,
this shit.
it feels right.
I feel like a YouTuber.
Hell yeah. Well, welcome back, everyone. It's been a week off from our normal drops and recording because Shock's been on some quite a few side quests. So
I've been going through it, guys. Last week we had to cancel the episode. Usually we try to drop every Wednesday, but I ended up in the fucking hospital, so had to put that to the back burner for a second. But we're back now. Yeah, man. Last week sucked. This whole year sucked. TBH. Yeah.
Well, I was put this down because I was thought we were gonna jump right on into it, but no. Yeah, it's been for you especially. It's been quite an uphill battle. Giving updates to everyone as things go on. So today is quite the update. We'll get into that shortly. But yeah, the only thing I think we can do is look at the trajectory of where we're going from here and just try and be as optimistic and positive about it as possible.
It's hard.
It's easier said than done. Absolutely.
Very hard.
Yeah. And yeah, there's not necessarily a choir I can preach to in this moment because, you're in a different area of your life right now and dealing with some stuff that, will break a lot of people and put a lot of stress and whatnot on your life. So I commend you for it. We're all standing here with you, and we'll give today and the first part of this pod an opportunity for you to break it down, let people know what's going on. And we'll just go from there. So
for sure.
But start it off, brother.
Background story. How did I end up in the hospital? Not that long of a story. It's kind of unexpected though. As we know, like I've been in remission about 5 weeks at this point before I ended up in the hospital. So what had happened was I was trying to get back into the gym routine, working out, playing some basketball, but I wasn't going too crazy. It's just like I don't think I was lifting more than 15 pounds, And then for basketball, I was just shooting around, running laps a little bit here and there, just trying to exercise just because it's been so long. Then that same day after I came home from the gym, I had this really bad pain in my chest. It was very dull and stagnant. It was staying there. And whenever I would take a deep breath, it would just fucking oh my God, like a boulder, on your chest. And then so I was like, dude, what's going on? So I asked my girlfriend first. I was like, yo, I got this chest pain. It's really bad. What should I do? Should I go to the ER? And her dad, he's had a heart attack before in the past, so she knows kind of the signs of a heart attack. So she's like, nah, dude, anything with your chest, you need to go to the fucking ER. I'm like,
is that a real thing where they say your left arm?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Your left arm goes numb.
Feel is it numb or fire? It just feels like a sensation.
Yeah.
And then you're like, heart attack.
For me, it was
coming.
These 3 fingers right here. So throughout all of...
you did feel that?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
So you were on the verge of...
Dude, I was on the verge of a fucking heart attack.
Wow.
These 3 fingers, they've been numb since chemo just because of the neuropathy and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it comes and goes, the numbness. But at that point, I was feeling the chest pain and the numbness came back. So I'm like, oh God, this can't be it. So then I was like, all right, I got to go to the fucking...
I would have hit 1 more 3. Just in case.
1 more 3?
Yeah.
I know. I
the
made sure.
Nastiest 3 in my life.
I had to leave the gym on a make.
Yeah.
No matter how I feel, you got to leave on a make. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for failure the next time.
Halfway through a heart attack, buckets, dog. Buckets.
What would Steph Curry do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the chest pain and all that shit, I went to the ER. I had my little sister drive me just because I was like, I probably shouldn't be driving if I have chest pain like that. So went over there, got there around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I told them what was going on. When you check in, I told the front desk lady, history of cancer, history of chemo. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then they put me in right away almost.
Right.
So since I was a cancer patient, there's this general waiting room you have to wait in. And then they put me into this secluded, isolated room. And I was wondering like, why is that? Because I didn't really notice at first that I was like, wait, I'm in a room by myself.
Yeah.
You know, like it didn't really hit me until like a couple minutes later, and I was like, why am I in a room by myself? Then my sister was like, dude, it's probably because you're a cancer patient and you're like high risk for like
My boy's in there radiating.
yeah, I guess because like you can get sick easily in the hospital, and like I already have a compromised immune system
Yeah,
because of that,
yeah,
so I'm assuming that's why they put me in there.
sure.
So I get in there. First thing they do, they take blood, and then like they were asking me like symptoms, what's going on, whatever. I was like, yo, chest pain, numbness, shortness of breath. Whenever I breathe, I feel like a boulder in my chest, like it was hurting a lot. And they're like, oh, okay. So then they did the blood test. Waited like a couple hours for the results, and then when the results came in, my troponin levels were hella fucking high. So the normal range is 0 to 20. My range was at 132. So if you look at that just on paper, the way the doctor explained it to me is like, on paper it looks like you just had a heart attack. And
Oh shit.
I was like, how the fuck does that happen?
Is it possible to have had? I know I've heard the term like mini heart attacks, where not like in the sense of like, oh, I just had a mini heart attack because you were scared, but like a
Yeah.
legit like where you didn't have the full like
Yeah.
I just seen the light type shit.
I mean, I don't
But
know. I
like
don't.
a mini like where your body kind of goes through the motions of what that is,
Yeah, it
but
kind of
maybe
mimics it, right?
yeah, but because you're young and your organs are, stronger even in the current state after having chemotherapy than somebody that's like 85
Yeah.
and, smoked or lived just a harder life and then they have a heart attack and it's just donezo. Like they're like,
Exactly.
yeah.
For sure, the
But
chemo had a big impact on why I even had that episode in the first
so
place.
the chemo,
Yeah.
did it damage the muscles on the outside of your heart
Yes.
or the heart itself? Like
The muscles.
okay.
Yeah. So we did all sorts of like I did a full cardiac workup. Did a EKG, did a chest X-ray with contrast. Fuck contrast, bro. You ever get a contrast done? Like the
They
dye.
put the dye in you.
Yeah, bruh.
I want to say yes, but you could tell me because to my memory or knowledge of what it was, I had to have like a dye or some type of shit ran through me one time for a test, and it was like made your body feel hot,
Yeah,
like the veins, like I could
exactly.
feel like if you were pumping hot water through something. That's how my body felt, and it was
Yeah,
like a weird sensation. It didn't hurt. Because maybe it was obviously for a different test,
yeah,
but that was the experience I had, and I was like, this is weird, dude. It is
yeah.
wild.
Dude, fuck contrast. Like they put me in the tube first for the X-ray or whatever, or the MRI.
The
I don't know what
MRI
it was.
machine.
Yeah, they put me in the machine.
Hold on, sorry, did you just hear that story?
Oh yeah, the
Of
metal.
yeah,
Yeah,
bro. They said that the magnetic pull or whatever it has is enough to throw a wheelchair across the room,
Fuck.
and apparently it sucked him in to the machine and strangled him, or like
Yeah,
there's lacerations to his neck or whatever because of the but he wasn't even supposed to be in there.
yeah, because he
He
just
like,
went in to check on his wife, right? He like
oh,
walked
did he?
into
I
the
didn't
room.
read the full thing or hear the full thing. I just seen like somebody was speaking about it, saying like man went into an MRI machine that wasn't supposed to,
Yeah,
and that they didn't have anybody there that was regulating, like, hey, don't go in there or whatever.
yeah.
So then it was like, but I didn't know there was another person
I
involved.
think it was his wife. She was laying in the machine, and like he went to go check on her because he
Oh
thought the
shit.
exam was over. And as soon as he walked into the room, I guess the jewelry he was wearing, the magnetic pulse, like pulled him into the machine.
Oh
And
no.
that's kind of like how it went down.
I don't
I
mean
could
to
be wrong.
laugh, but that is fucked up, dog.
Yeah, dude,
That's so fucked up.
that could have been avoided.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. My apologies. That came to mind. I just wanted to know if you had
Yeah.
heard that story. 'Cause
You know
I seen
what's
it the other
wild?
day. I was like, what?
So like I wear my chain, bro, right? Like this chain's always on all the time. So like I was about to get into the machine and the tech wasn't even gonna tell me take off your jewelry. And then I told him I was like, wait, because I've done this before. This is not my first rodeo. And then I was like, wait, you want me to take my necklace off? He's like, oh yeah, take it off. And I was like, bro, you should be looking for these things in people because people don't know this stuff. I could have been that guy. I mean, granted, this is not metal. This is gold, but whatever. I guess you just can't wear jewelry in a machine like that anyways. But anyway, so when I was put in there, they did the contrast dye. So the way it makes me feel, the way I could describe the contrast dye, first you're claustrophobic because you're in the machine. Second, like I was already having heart issues, so my chest was on fire. just from that in general. And then after you do the dye, it's like how you were saying your body feels like warm all over,
Yeah, it's a
but
weird sensation.
very weird sensation. But also it feels like you gotta like void all your bowels at the same time, like and throw up.
Oh, it'll make you feel like you have to pee, or like
Yeah.
you peed yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
They said like if you feel like you just urinated all over yourself, you didn't. It's
Yeah.
the
It's
contrast.
the contrast.
I do remember that.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. It's not my first time doing it, but I never look forward to doing it. But anyway, so we did the chest X-ray, and then after that, the EKG. Then we did an echocardiogram. We did the whole cardiac workup. I spent 4 days in the hospital, pretty much because each of these exams, there's like such a like hour wait period, like couple hour wait period in between before you get each result.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, also doing blood work every 2 hours. Like my first night in the hospital, they wake you up every 2 hours to take your blood and check your vitals. So your first night, you don't get any sleep at all.
Yeah.
It's like every 2 hours, somebody's in there. Like I didn't sleep at all. And then, so they saw my troponin levels very high, and then also my D dimer level. So the D dimer signifies that there was a clot in your blood somewhere, or there was a clot just broken up, or it could be inflammation. It's a very unspecific metric that they use for blood work, at least for a cardiac workup. So since D dimer was elevated, the first thing they thought was like maybe you have a blood clot. That's why it's hurting you to breathe, like when you take a deep breath. So they're like, all right, we should check to see if you have a pulmonary embolism. You know, we'll check your legs for blood clots too.
Did you have a headache at all? Like
yeah, I had
headache?
I had a horrible headache like that whole entire week. And then so they were checking all these things, bro, and each thing just negative, 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 negative. And like they came down to this last point where they wanted to do something called an angiogram. You know what an angiogram is?
I don't know.
So it's kind of what they do for people that have heart attacks to like clear out your arteries or like check to see if there is blockage in your arteries.
No shit.
So they could do it two ways. They could do it through the groin. So like there's an artery right here on your thigh.
Yeah.
They run into it and then they put a camera in there and they literally send the camera up from your thigh all the way to your heart to see if there's like a artery that's clogged there. You could do it that way, or you could do it through your wrist, same thing, all the way to your heart to see if there's an artery clog. So I came to this dilemma, right? Because we did every single test, and we got to this test, and we're like, do we really got to do something like that? Like, because that's pretty fucking invasive. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Cutting me open, putting a camera in my artery to go check to see if my arteries are clogged. Like, I'm 29 years old. I don't think my arteries are clogged, right?
Right.
So the cardiologist at the hospital, he was telling me, I think you should do this. Like, we should look into this. Like, there's probably a blockage or something. If there's no blood clot, like, it's probably this. And then another opinion. This is why it's important to get two opinions.
Yeah. Also asking them like, hey, what else could we do
Except
before that?
Yeah.
Like, always like, let's say this is a last resort. Like, hey, buddy, we gotta do this. Give me two more options of what we can do before that is not as severe as that.
Exactly.
Because that's fine if we have to. But let's put emphasis on have to.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't be where we're like immediately, nope, like everything's on fire, we gotta evacuate.
Exactly.
Like no, let's
that
figure
should be
out
last resort.
Yeah, let's try and figure out what other things we could do. Sorry, but
yeah,
because that's something that like I've had to do in the doctors as well, is like let them know like, hey, let's not go from 0 straight to 100. Like let's find out like where we're at that we could do, because sometimes those are the things that they're like, oh,
yeah,
it was something simple. Like we didn't have to go do all that, because sometimes they'll go do the severe thing, find out that there's nothing, and then the underlying thing that was somewhere in the middle that gets overlooked ends up becoming worse.
Yep.
Because they're just like, oh, didn't even think to look there. I'm like, hey, buddy, maybe let's start there.
Yeah, let's start with.
Go ahead.
So I mean, obviously that's a very like extreme invasive type thing. Like that procedure, an angiogram, is what they do for people that had heart attacks. Because like those people that had heart attacks, they're like, do the cut in your wrist. They take the camera through your artery, and then they do this thing called a stent.
And I've had something similar.
Mm-hmm.
I'll dish my part of that, but I know what you're talking about, because I've had that happen to me. I may have told you this story before, but when they fed that tube all the way in through my arm, they cut me open and while I was awake, and they just put like some numbing shit there, and then fed like a metal wire connected to something all the way through. I'll get into it later if you want me to explain it, but I'm just only saying that to preface that like I do know what you're talking about. Like I've had to have something similar done. It wasn't with the camera, but it was for medication to be fed to my heart. And that was the only way that they had to do it. They have to go through a main artery, which for me,
The radial.
this is closer to my heart than down here.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't looking for a blockage or anything, it was just finding a port that could get closer to my heart the most like effective way, because I had to be connected to like a little fucking what do you call that? The IV deal.
Yeah.
But for like heavy medications, which I'm sure that you had to go through that as well. You have to walk around with it, and they unplug you to
hate
something
that
else.
shit,
They pinch it off.
All of chemo was like that. If you got to take a piss, you got to take your whole IV bag with you.
Yeah. My stay in UCSF, whenever I was there for 2 weeks, that was the first thing they did on the day that I walked in was do that deal to my arm. And I was like, man, this is how it is on day one.
Imagine
I'm
day
here
two.
for 2 weeks. Like, which, yeah, we can get into that another time. I want to interject, but that was where I was like, for 2 weeks, dog, I had to carry this thing around. They would unplug you for a while, and they would pinch it off and then put something around it to keep it sanitized so that nothing would get in there, because it's going straight to my heart. And then I would, anyways, yeah, go ahead.
That's
my bad.
crazy
But yeah,
experience.
so I know what you're talking about, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
So like there's two things going on at this time, right? We did a lot of the tests already. There were still some tests we were waiting on the results of. We didn't even get the results in yet, because the last test we did was a VQ. So that's when they put like a radioactive gas into your lungs, and then they do an X-ray while the radioactive gas is in your lungs, and then that's pretty much to check. That's like the ultimate test to check if there's a blood clot in your lungs, right? So I just had done that test, and I was still waiting for the results of that test. We didn't know if there's a blood clot or not.
Right.
And then the cardiologist of the hospital came in and sat in my room, and he's like, hey, like, you know, we got to do this thing called the angiogram, which I explained is like the camera through the artery and like, you know, check to see if there's any blockages, see if we need to put any stents. And I was like, dude, that sounds like a lot, you know, especially because we haven't even got the results back of the other thing.
Right.
Like if it's, you know, something's going on over there, why would I go do all this until I know what's going on over there, right? So I was like, just thinking like, why would you make me do that if we don't even have that other result? And this is why it's important to advocate for yourself, because then like there's another doctor that was in there too. He was like more of like a general medicine doctor. He had came in and he talked to me too. And he's like, hey man, like, just so you know, like in my personal opinion, I don't think you should do the angiogram. Like, I don't think you need to. And then like he was kind of fighting the cardiologist, because the cardiologist, heart specialist, right? You would think he knows better. So the cardiologist, he was just trying to poke me. He was trying to go do all that like off rip. Whereas the general doctor,
They loved it.
yeah, I know. The general doctor, he was kind of just like, no, dude. Like, to be honest, like this cardiologist here, he has a reputation of just wanting to cut people open. Like, you might not even need that. Like,
dude, that doctor is a G, bro.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
like not, doctors never say that shit, bro. Like usually they just fall into their fucking order because they don't want to get stepped on by whoever. But if he's like, hey, brother.
Yeah, shout out to
Don't
him,
fucking do
bro.
it.
Because
Yeah.
he kind of gave me the confidence to be like, nah, bro, I don't need to do that. And even
That's
the
good,
nurses
dude.
there, like there was this nurse, I won't say her name so she won't get in trouble, but there was a nurse who was telling me too, like, hey, like, honestly, like the other doctor, he's right. He's saying like, yo, this guy, the cardiologist, kind of has a rep of like just wanting to do that. And then so I was like, okay, good to know. Like, I appreciate y'all telling me. And then so the other doctor, the general doctor, he's the one that actually diagnosed me. Because he was like, I think you have this thing called chemo-induced cardiomyopathy and pericarditis. Pretty much that means in English is like, okay, your heart muscles have been damaged like severely from chemo. So your heart's not able to, you know, accommodate or do as much exertion as a normal person would. So when you went to the gym, you were playing basketball, you're only 5 weeks remission. You know, your heart is still recovering from 6 months of chemo.
Right.
You know, so you probably need at least equal time that you were in chemo to recover from chemo. 6 months in chemo, you probably need 6 months after chemo to like just take it easy. And it's like because like after chemo, I felt fine. You know, like I wasn't really like sick anymore. I wasn't really like I didn't feel like my heart was exerted or whatever. So like I would work out and it was fine, you know, because that wasn't my first time working out. It was when this episode happened. Like I was hitting the gym prior, but it just so happened like that day I probably overexerted, you know, maybe from basketball, from like running too much, you know. But so the general doctor,
which that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like putting heavy stress on your body when you've been literally in like a state of constantly like a flow of I feel good, I feel bad, I feel good, I feel bad, I need to rest, I can finally do like the necessary things that I need to do. There's not been like a huge exertion of your energy that you've been able to do prior to, especially to the stint of what you were doing it, where you were constantly in the gym, getting after it, like balling up all the time, like, you know,
Yeah.
pick up games, this, that, and the
Those are the
third.
good old days.
And so your mind is like, oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then your body, because you're done with the chemo, feels like, yeah, I'm a little behind. I could probably tune it up a little bit, but like I'm eager to get back out there.
Yeah.
And then your organs that, you know, that are like, hey, buddy, but we're not.
We're
Like,
not.
we're not. Like, give
No.
us a little bit of time, which totally makes sense. And, you know, it's good that they were able to let you know that.
Yeah.
Um, with that though, whenever you do talk to your doctor, you should ask them like what their thoughts are on like more of a, instead of weight lifting, on more of like a calisthenics lifting, like
Yeah.
more body weight only, like push-ups, pull-ups, light sprinting, or just like, you know, walking, like very light, mild, like introductory calisthenics, as
Yeah.
well as like band work, and then like water aerobics. Because water aerobics, it's really good for your joints and mobility and stuff like that.
I don't even know how to swim.
Well, it's not like treading water, like you're not like in the deep end. And water aerobics is like what you see a lot of people do when they're in like recovery for like joints and tears and things. They'll take weights and they'll be under the water, and it's like rotations and pushing the water and pulling, because there's this constant like resistance and stuff, but you're not dealing with gravity in the same sense as when you're outside of water. So it's less stress induced on your joints and your body. That also may put your body in not a state of stress like it is whenever you're playing ball or lifting weights, which then makes your heart have to respond.
Work harder.
That muscle has to contract. That muscle has to do its thing in order to sustain and help with the heart's function. Just thoughts, like, just so that way you can like start to like, oh, what could I do to strengthen my heart, or things that I could do to get my heart tuned up, so where then in 6 months when you do want to go balls to the wall, you don't put yourself back in that state of severe stress where your heart's like, holy shit, give us some yes time. We're doing better, but
we ain't doing that
we've
good.
Still been 6 months now, a year, because 6 months during, 6 months after, and then you're like, oh shit, like this is a long road to recovery, which you have expected anyways. But if there are things out there that you could help to usher that along, you know, those are just some, you know, I don't even know if they would help. I'm just immediately to my mind of what I would do in that state of like, or what I think would make sense. You can always ask them about like, you know, stuff like that.
It just sucks because it's like I'm just so eager to just finally feel normal again, you know, resume normal activities. I want to play basketball again. I want to play in the basketball league again, you know, like all those things that I was doing pre-cancer. And then like this whole episode kind of taught me like, oh shit, dude, you should probably chill the fuck out because your body's not ready, dude. Chemo's fucked you up like physically from like ways you don't even know because it's all in your organs. So like when that doctor told me like, hey dude, like honestly, you should not listen to the cardiologist because cardiologist is just trying to poke you and like, you know, do surgery and like all this stuff. And he's like, to be honest, like your labs are kind of trending downwards after these last 4 days. Like when I first got into
trending downwards in a better,
in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when I first got in, my troponin levels was 132, and then like every couple hours, like how I said they were doing the blood test, right? Every couple hours, the troponin kept decreasing, but the D dimer increased. So I was like wondering, like, okay, troponin's going down, good. Why is D dimer getting worse? And then he was saying because your body's inflamed.
So what is the D dimer?
D dimer is supposed to tell you blood clots, and it's supposed to tell you inflammation.
Okay.
But it doesn't specify which one of the two.
To which, okay.
So D dimer can be a little tricky and confusing.
And then that's why then the cardiologist was like, let's get a camera in there because we can't discern the two.
Exactly.
So that would then, I mean, I'm like, again, I'm an idiot. I'm not a doctor, so don't take this as like I'm giving medical advice. But in my just human perspective of like what makes sense would be like, let's give you something like a severe anti-inflammation protocol. Let's see if we could reduce that inflammation, and if the D dimer reacts to that, then we know that it's from inflammation.
Versus
then
just
if
cutting
it doesn't, then we say, okay, there really could be a blood clot because we tried the de-inflammation and that did not help. Even though the inflammation did go down, it still shows that this level is here. That makes it more likely that, okay, we have a blood clot. And then I think logically you could be like, yeah, that makes sense. like maybe that is what we need to do. And then everybody else could probably be on board with that too, because they're like, yeah, well, we did the first thing.
Yeah.
But if he's like, hey, let's not even check to see if we can reduce that inflammation. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe that's not the way that works.
Yeah.
Maybe they both coincide with one another, that the inflammation can't go down because there's a blood clot. There's a blood clot, therefore the inflammation.
Yeah.
So it's one and the two. So maybe they can't just do it to that, you know, like, yeah, no shit. You know, that's,
Yeah, that makes sense
obviously
too.
what makes sense. But, but maybe there's a whole ass different thing that's deeper into that realm. But on the face of it, I would say that, okay, let's see if we can reduce the inflammation, and then now recheck it and then go from there. But you know, some like we talked about before, and I don't want to always come off like that guy that like demonizes the health industry, because it's
But
not always
it could
the
be an
case.
insurance grab
But
too.
yes,
You know,
that's what a lot of times it's like, okay, well, doctors are like, well, if we could just go to the most severe thing, then that can trickle down and then just be better for everything. And it's like, that's not always the case.
yeah, it's like if
Because
you can
then-
avoid the most severe thing, like why wouldn't you? Especially because my body's already been through fucking hell, bro. My body's been through 6 months of chemo. I do not need to get cut open right now for no reason.
Yeah, well, I've said, and it's like sometimes you're treated like a test subject, or
Yeah.
like a test dummy, and it's like, oh, we got a living fucking corpse we could experiment on. Like, that's kind of fucked up, dog. Like, when doctors are like, there's some doctors that go to college because they are excited about being able to cut into people in surgery, and maybe not in like a gross like
Serial killer.
yeah,
way.
right. But there is some weird like just like there are some cops that like
Power trips.
that they were excited about the engagement side of it, not to sit in their cruiser and to write tickets, but the confrontation. Like, they're like, I trained for this. Like, I fucking shoot my gun regularly. I trained for this shit. Like, I was in medical school. I cut open, da 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 da. Went through this, that, and the third. Like, I did all these experiments and all these things that got me ready for the field. And all I'm doing is writing prescriptions and doing EKGs and doing this, that, and whatever. And then it's like, those are the types of people that they got into it because they want to do the
excitement.
action. And so they look for people as like a, hey, we probably don't need to do this, but I'm not going to tell them that, yo, we should do that, because it's like, then they get to get in the field.
Yeah.
And
Makes them
it's
feel
like-
excited. But
and
then you lose
yeah.
track of the patient.
That's what I'm saying. Then you become another test subject. You become another thing that was like what they were doing in medical school. The only difference is you have a walking pulse that needs to go home, that wants to
Yeah.
go home and deserves to go home. And that's not to say that they're putting your life necessarily at risk, but they are bypassing some of the measures that could be taken before having to go to that, because they're bored.
Yeah.
Because 90% of who they're dealing with, depending on where you live too, some places are going to be like, maybe if you want to cut into people and save people's lives and put tourniquets on people, go be a doctor in the fucking war.
Yeah.
You know, go volunteer for the Red
If you're looking
Cross
for
or
the
whatever.
excitement, go do
Yes,
that.
maybe if that's what you want to do. But if you're in a small city or town, or a city that most of the people there are either dying from old age or have like just regular shit, you know what I mean? And then you get, every once in a while, you may get like one of those, and
Those
then you're just
exciting
like, but that's
cases.
not enough. I need more. I need more. It's like an adrenaline thing. And a lot of people have that, especially with police officers too. It's an adrenaline thing. Like,
Yeah.
then they create the
Confrontation,
hostility
create
to
the problems.
provoke it, to then justify action. You gotta have some self-control when it comes to that, because
Yeah.
then people like you go in there that really need help, that could be better served in a way of, let's work our way to the severity of what this could be, instead of immediately going there
Mhm.
and then being like, oops, that wasn't it. Now let's count down backwards and find out where we missed our step.
You know, they had like wheeled me in my hospital bed into the operating room to do the angiogram. Like, I was
Yeah.
already in the room with the cardiologist about to do it. And then like I was thinking about everything that the previous doctor told me and the previous nurses told me about this guy.
Oh, so you let them get you all the way to...
Well, I didn't even know what was happening, because like they just started wheeling me somewhere, and like they didn't even really tell me what was happening until I was in there. I was like, oh, this is for the angiogram. Like, I'm about to do a fucking angiogram right now. And then like before they could do a procedure like that, you have to sign consent forms.
Right.
And then so the cardiologist came up to me with this stack of paper. And he's like, all right, I need you to sign this before I can operate. I'm like, bro, I don't want you to operate.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this unless I absolutely need to do this. And I asked him, like, do you honestly think that I absolutely need to do this procedure? And then that's when he kind of was like, I mean, ultimately it's up to you. In my professional opinion, I think you should. And I was like, but why? And then he said, because of like all these regions, we don't know if it's a blood clot. We don't know this. We don't know that. I'm like, but you guys haven't even waited to get the exam results from the thing that checked if it was a blood clot. If it was a blood clot, why would we not treat it from that exam instead of doing this whole other thing, exploring a whole other region of my body? And you don't even know the answer yet.
Right.
You know, it's like, it just seems like you want to poke me for no reason. And then he was just saying, well, I mean, if you don't want to do it, it's okay. We could wheel you back to your room.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, wheel me back because I'm not going to sign this. And then they sent me back to the room. And then that's when the nurse came afterwards that told me previously, like, hey, be careful of this cardiologist,
Right.
dude. She came and she's like, I'm really happy you advocated for yourself and that you didn't do it. I was like, thank you. And she was like, a lot of people, if they were down there already, they would just say, fuck it and just do it. You know, like 93% of people would just do it. And I was like, but no, if you're not giving me a good reason as to why I need this procedure, why would I elect to do the procedure?
Right.
Like, ultimately, it's my choice, right? So,
Absolutely. That's why you have consent forms. That's why there's barriers in place that protect you. But there is like a line of so many people go in and they're like, well, they said I needed it.
Yeah.
Like they told me I did.
They'll just believe whatever.
And then they go and they just do this shit because they put those people on a pedestal of like, they have my best interest in mind. They're only doing what's necessary. And a lot of that is lack of information, or like you said, self-advocacy of like looking into things of like, okay, what makes sense? What doesn't make sense? How do I feel? What do I really need? And then you get to a point where you're like, no, motherfucker, like this isn't adding up to me. Like there has to be something else. And then look,
yeah,
you're cool. Like to the extent of like where you maybe didn't need that. But a lot of people they succumb to the pressure of like the medical industry of like, you know, also too like being wheeled into that room.
It's like you're
where
there.
you didn't even know why you were being wheeled, so you didn't have the prior like anxiousness upon going into that room because you're just thinking, oh, they're probably just doing another test.
Exactly.
They're just wheeling me there. They don't want me to have to get up because of my blood pressure and all these things.
Exactly.
Like they're just looking out for me. Next thing you know, you end up in a room. Now they cut half of the process out of there for you having to be like, where they're like, hey, we're going to wheel you into the room for this procedure. You would have been like, no, don't waste your time. I don't want to go in there.
Yeah.
If they could bypass that choice, then once you get there,
it's kind of like, I'm already here.
Yes, you have a higher likelihood of just succumbing to like, okay, like I guess, like if that's what we have to do, I'm already here.
And then they could just bill you insurance.
Yes, and then you're like, wait.
Yeah, like I had to like
how did I get here, dog? Like,
yeah, bro.
You know,
that's why it's important. You gotta
that.
advocate for yourself medically, and you gotta get second opinions. Like those two doctors I talked to, they both work in the same hospital. They both work with each other on a daily basis, right? And then this one doctor, the general doctor, told me like, bro, honestly, this guy is kind of crazy. Like I don't think you need to do that. Like I know he's a cardiologist, and you're gonna assume just because of the title he knows better. But I am telling you, in my professional opinion, like this is chemotherapy related. This is an inflammation thing, and this will go down with medication. You do not need to get a heart procedure done that is applied to people that have had heart attacks.
Right.
I'm like, even though on paper it looks like you did have a heart attack.
I would imagine too it could cause more damage to those areas if they're shoving a fucking camera through your arteries.
Anything can go wrong.
Like they could scrape it. It could hit the walls of the artery.
And imagine if I didn't
cause
even
internal
need that.
bleeding, whatever it could. Like I said, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, I know that there are things that take place that could make you worse off, and you're like, I could have not done that, and now I have to do more shit because I'm more banged up because I let them do this to me.
Yep.
And no, but on the plus side of that, we're here. You made it out. You are on a couple different medications.
Yeah, they gave me 5 different medications. They gave me one that lowers your blood pressure, lowers your heart rate, which is crazy because 29 years old on heart medication. I never thought that would be the case.
Is this permanent, temporary?
I don't know.
Is it going to be a reassessment at some point on whether or not
I'm sure they're going to
long-term?
reassess. They told me after I got out of the hospital, I have to hit up my oncologist, which I did. My oncologist is cool, bro, because I have his personal phone number. So when I was in the hospital, I was literally texting him every update that I was getting, and he was just telling me like his opinion. And I'm like, dude, this is like free medical advice because like I'm just texting you like you're a homie type thing.
Right.
So he had told me like, all right, like once you get out of there, I'm gonna refer you to a cardiologist in UCSF. He's a specialist in cancer patients with heart problems. So we're gonna start sending you to SF to go see him, and then we're gonna really assess what's going on with your heart in relation to chemo.
I would like to say off of that, UCSF is a fucking baller
Yeah,
spot.
I've never been.
They're honestly, my opinion and my experience there, this is only my testimonials. Every time that I've been out there, um, which I should go out there for my regular appointments. I don't because of how the distance is. I don't want to be driving into Frisco if I don't have to. So I normally am able to go to the clinics
Yeah,
that they have, like UCSF, like sister clinics or whatever, that branch off like more into like Dublin and Palo Alto and shit.
yeah.
Or not Palo Alto, Dublin, Oakland, and what is the other one? Elk Grove or whatever. Anyways, all of my experience, they're kind, they're attentive, they're like patient, they're good. They work with a lot of kids because like their pediatric center is there too, for depending on what area you're in. For me it was for like lungs and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
a lot of those kids like grew up there. They've
yeah.
been there like off and on their whole life. Like they know more of those walls of the hospital than they know the outside.
Which is very
Um,
sad.
but I think because of that, you meet a lot of people that are in there and nurses and stuff. And especially my 2 weeks that I was there, um, they all seemed just really, I, I felt good. Like this situation was bad because I
You
didn't want
felt
to be
taken
there.
care of though.
But yes, that's what I mean. Like clockwork, and
Yeah.
and I hope it's still that way. It's been a number of years. I was younger whenever I was there, but at every experience I've had, even when I went to like an ENT, I had surgery out there, um, and all kinds of stuff, and it was
Yeah.
top
Okay.
notch, man. So I think you'll,
Be in good hands.
yeah,
Over there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
shout out UCSF, man. Y'all are all right. Y'all are all right.
Yeah, man. It's just wild, bro. Just everything that's transpired this past year. Just I feel like I lived through so much life in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And like, cancer, chemo, heart issues, like it's a lot, bro. It weighs on your mental a lot. Also, I got denied for disability because apparently I don't have a disability. Because I guess like it's crazy because when you apply for jobs, it asks you, "Do you have a disability?" And then in the form of available disabilities, it literally says cancer. And then when I apply for SSI, to get assistance throughout the time where I had chemo and everything, they told me like, "Oh, you are young, you're gonna recover. We don't expect your cancer to last more than a year, so we're gonna deny you." I'm like, bro, like I've been going through it since last October. Like, granted, it's been like 10 months in total of like cancer, chemo, everything. But to tell me like it's not gonna last more than a year, it's like cancer is for the rest of your life. Chemo side effects for the rest of your life.
That part, yeah.
You're gonna
that
get
part for
so
sure.
many side effects from chemo that will pop up throughout your entire life. You mean to tell me those don't count for anything? Not even like the 10, 11 months where I was in chemo being treated, unable to work, like
Yeah.
all of that is just like
You're just going into it at a bad time, because of
the Trump
the
stuff and
yeah. I mean, and like however people want to look at it, like that's fine. I don't necessarily want to. It's easy to slip into that and like give like too much of an opinion that will stir people up, and um I'm not trying to necessarily do that, but like I've been a recipient of Social Security growing up.
yeah.
There's a lot of things that it was a hindrance to me, and it was terrible. and and I think that it's important for people to be able to look, and this is me even saying this to you in like a loving way, but like if you don't need it, don't get on it.
Yeah.
If you don't need it, don't, um because I think that you're gonna be better to service yourself by trying to do something and trying to figure out what it is out there that you can do, because once you get on Social Security, you're gonna be hindered for the remainder of your life. You didn't have enough years worked into a job or a career, or you don't have enough in a 401k where they can justify giving you enough like a retirement on Social Security. They will give you more because they're allocating for what you made through your career of working. Typically what Social Security is made for is people that were born with terminal illnesses, or they have retired because of injury and things like that. And those things are payable to protect those people. And that's what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be a safeguard. It's supposed to protect people and help people that cannot go out into the workforce. Now, granted, if this was 5 years ago and you were in this predicament and you went and you tried to get on Social Security, you would have probably been greeted with flowers and given everything, because that's what they were doing. They were just fucking handing it out like no tomorrow. For years, that's what they were doing. Anybody that fucking said they would have a backache, they'd be able to get written by their doctor that they are permanently disabled, and they were perfectly fine. And that ruined it for everybody. That ruined it for people that have terminal illnesses, where they were going back into medical records because they were the people that they were able to find out more precisely what they were dealing with than fraudulence that were going in there and getting Social Security not being documented, so on and so forth, of being like, how do we weed through all this? So what they started doing is just slashing as many people as possible to protect the small group, the majority that needed to be on it. Now, when I was cut from Social Security, for me, I was trying to get off of it for so long, but I was put into a scare that, well, if you get off of it, you're going to lose your insurance. If you get off of it, you're not going to get your medicine. If you get off of it, da 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 da. I talked to a attorney and all this stuff, trying to find out the answers. Somebody tell me the truth, because this does not make sense to me. I didn't want to be on it. I knew I could work. I've always worked under the table. I've been doing construction and doing all this different stuff since I was young, bartending, all these different things. So it was never that I was not working. I just had to do it under the table because I'm like, dude, this sucks. I could work. But now I'm pigeonholed, and you don't want to be in that position where something takes off for you and then they start threatening like your livelihood. Well, if you make even $1 over what that we say that you should be able to make, we're gonna penalize you for overpayment for the duration of time that you've been making money. So then you'll owe them, which is what happened to me. Not only that, and they overturned that because of stuff that happened in the law or whatever, and they overturned a lot of those things where they were penalizing people because they were like, dude, you were just cutting people and not even justifying to them, and then you're just serving them bills that they owe you. It's like, no, you can't do that. So some of them, like for me being born with a terminal illness, like they were like, all right, like you don't fit that demographic. Mine was cut, and I didn't owe a lot anyways. But anyways, point being is that it ruined it for people that do need it. Right now, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Like you don't. And I know,
Back then I did.
but during that time, you should have been able to have like a disability program that you could be, in during that time to help alleviate you from financial stress.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. And I think that should be something where they, like when you are diagnosed, that should come with
like something
a system
like that
to say, hey, being that you have this, there is a program that we advise you to go ahead and get started on immediately because it can help alleviate some of the financial burden. Makes sense. To then when they are looking at things more precisely, because Social Security is being cut, and not in the sense that it's being cut for people that need it, it's being cut for all the people that had ruined it for the people that need it, because so many people were on it that didn't need to be. Like, look, I got cut. If you look at me on paper, having cystic fibrosis, you're like, okay, this isn't the demographic of people that you're cutting, because it's a terminal illness that is supposed to progress and get worse until he dies at a young age. That's what it is. That's what it's always going to be until they find a cure, right? So you wouldn't think, let's cut this motherfucker, but I got cut.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did. Like, but that's my story. That's mine. Like other people that got cut, maybe they were like, I fucking need this. Now I'm fighting to stay on it. They cut me and didn't even give me like a
valid reason,
ability to appeal.
Yeah.
And you were just boop. And that happened to a lot of people. And that's where I can see the uproar of being upset. For people like you, it's like, yeah, right now it sucks. Like if it was a different time, you would have been, like I said, they would have not even blinked an eye. You would have been put on it because they're like, oh shit, okay, da 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 da, whatever. Go ahead and give them Social Security. Now, you'll probably never get it, dog.
Yeah.
Even if you end up needing it, you probably will never get it. And I just
That's
so everybody understands,
fucked up.
I had a homegirl of mine, one of my best friends, and like a sister to me, and lived with me for years, and rest her soul. You know what I mean? You met her, and her dealing with diabetes and how bad it was for her, and in and out of comas and all of the, just, you talk about a hard life medically. She's the poster child. Like, my God, the things that she went through, and like the failure on the end of the medical industry. And that's ended up being the reason why she died, is because they failed her, because they gave her faulty equipment, there will always be a bitter place in my heart for that, because for the first time in her life that things were looking up, that she was happy, that things were going good, and then she died in her sleep because the fucking insulin machine that had a recall on it didn't inject in her sleep. And then her organs, because they had fought so hard and so long, being in comas and things like that, that she passed away in her sleep and didn't wake up. And she had appealed for years for Social Security, and dude, you look at her fucking spreadsheet on everything that happened to her, you would be like, You should have been on this. Deny, 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 deny. Like, that's why I'm like, yeah, it's fucked up, brother. Like, it sucks because there are people that need it, and God forbid, and I pray that you don't.
Yeah.
You know, that it doesn't come to where you're like, fuck, I need it because I can't survive without it now. Like, let's hope that it doesn't get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Because I seen from not only me being kicked off of it, which, as I said, my situation's different. I wanted to be off of it. I didn't need to be on it. I understood that it was doing more negative than good for me, but I sympathize with the people that do need to be on it because I'm like, bro, a lot of your livelihood and what protects you, being on Social Security protects you for making sure that you're getting your medicine, for making sure that you're not cut from medical benefits and things like that that you get from the state and government and whatnot. Like, you know, like, as terrible as GVHC is, like, or you still get
Fuck
Medi-Cal.
GVHC.
Yeah, you still get Medi-Cal, Medicare, Medicaid, all those things, Health Net. You still get all of that because Social Security protects you. It puts like this umbrella of the things that you receive. Without that, you're kind of at the whim of if those things get cut or if they decide who gets it and who doesn't, which is what's happening now. And there are good parts about that, so I don't think people should just sit there and demonize it. And I know I'm going on a rant, but because it's important for people to know, like, you have to always be able to discern the two. You can't just look at one side and say that it's all fucking evil, because it's not. And it was evil before there was even light put on it. And most of y'all don't even fucking know. And you have an uproar when none of this even pertains to you because you haven't gone through medical scares or medical things that have these, that you face these issues every day. You're mad from a distance of something that has not impacted you. And you just want to be mad at something because it's fucking red or it's blue, left or right, Trump or Biden or Kamala or whoever the fuck you want to say. And then you want to make this your battle and your fight. And it's not. You don't understand it. And so you don't realize that the devil has been a part of it since the fucking beginning. It is a snake eating its own tail. The thing that was created to serve you is now the thing that is consuming itself for greed and for their own fucking financial gain. And you are just caught in the fucking cycle, just trying to find out how you can get some sort of help through the process. And although when it started out to be good, it is no longer that way, and it's been that way. And it's not just becoming that way because of the current person that's in office. You guys are all fucking foolish for thinking that. There are just changes that are being made because of the current state that we're in and how bad that it's gotten. And things have to fall in order to be rebuilt again, and things that take time to be rebuilt again. And I think that's what we're in right now, is trying to find out who actually needs it, who doesn't. And some people are going to suffer for that, and it sucks, and that's not okay. But it's just the fuckery that has taken place that has put us in the position that we cannot avoid it. And that's, you know, that's what it is. So, I mean,
Preach, brother. Preach. No,
that,
it's all true, bro. Everything you're saying is 100% facts. So can you tell me about the big beautiful bill? Because honestly, I don't know anything about it. So, like, if you could fill me in, I'm sure there's people watching too that don't know anything about it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not. Let me just say, I'm not necessarily the person to give all the information on it, because I don't know every little bit and piece, and I don't even think people that are in positions of power know. There's like, I think it was like 14 hours or something of somebody reading each section and page, and when they looked into the audience of people, like, there was like nobody there.
Yeah.
So it's like they're reading off like all these little tiny things that could change and manipulate it at any given time, and all these clauses and shit. So I'm just saying, like, what I say, take it with a grain of salt. I'm only telling you what I've looked into and read and trying to understand it. The big beautiful bill is going to do a lot of different things for as far as like your tax, refunds and credits and things like that, all the way down to your medical benefits and what you're able to receive, also off of the percentage of income that you could make. That is going to be the new threshold of what people can and can't receive these things
In your bracket.
Yeah. Same thing with food stamps, and I've touched on that before, and that's all kind of included in that. People were in a stir because everybody was given all this stuff just without ever questioning, and a lot of it fell under the radar. A lot of it was given to people that didn't need it. And so therefore, like I said, just as I've stated about the medical thing, it just ruined it for a lot of people that do need it. And I think now they're just trying to kind of figure out, okay, how could we restructure this to make sure that we're serving the people that really need to be served, and then the people that can get up and go do something actually do that, because you need to take account for yourself and go out there and just be serve society in any manner possible if you can. And I think that's important, and that should be left or right, dog. Like, that should just be the way that it is. You should not be crippled by your government that says, hey, there's a story later that I'll tell that is, that is in the Bible. I believe it's in Exodus or Genesis. So it's earlier in the Bible, and there's a story that it's history repeating itself, and it is eerie and fucking wild. And I'll circle back around and get to that if we have time, but primarily to stay on focus of what you're asking me. The big beautiful bill is doing a lot of stuff that's helping people that are in the working class. Yes, I'm sure that there's like huge tax credits and stuff like that for people that are billionaires. Again, it's one of those things like, who cares? It does not affect you in the same way that it does to know that your prices of your groceries are too high that you can't afford them, or this, that, or the third, or these like political beach balls that are getting tossed around that are distracting you by thinking the eggs are $4 more. Therefore, oh my God, it's like they're so expensive. I'm like, dog, there's some places that they're $14, and I think it's like in Australia or whatever it is that there's so much more. Everything's so much more out there. And then you're complaining about a $4 increase, and that you're also the same people that are complaining this that get fucking food stamps. They get food stamps. All your shit is free anyways. Who gives a shit if it's $4 more? Half the motherfucking people that are on it are selling off the remainder of what they have on food stamps that they don't need. So it's just like this weird, I'm in that world. I'm in it. Like, I've lived in it. I've lived off of it. I understand the reality of stuff. So when people are out here looking at this, and then they're in their own fucking echo chamber preaching this stuff of what they do and don't think that is right, and they're confused at the reality of it, it's like, dude, the $4 increase on eggs is not crippling you. Look at go open up your app of like your bank account and look at every charge that you have on there. I would probably go and guess that 90% of everybody has at least fucking 30, 40 charges a month. There's fast food, fast food, fast food, fast food, fast food, fast food. You're buying a bullshit meal, one meal, that is upwards of $15 to $20 something, let alone if you're buying for a family. You're probably gonna be spending $40 on bullshit food that feeds you one time. And you're complaining about eggs that could last you a week. They could be made with different things, baking, cooking, eating them just as they are. And that's what you're mad about. Like, I call bullshit, dude. I call bullshit. I think it's just one of those things that gets an uproar to be mad.
I think people are upset because back then money used to go farther than it did.
Sure, but also the allocation of what you're doing with your money is what you're also mad about. You're buying and spending money on dumbass things because you don't have discipline to say, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. I probably shouldn't go buy that thing. I probably shouldn't go to Ross or Didi's or all these fucking places that make it so accessible. They're the clothing liquor store. Like, you're just going to buy stuff that you can see, and this is like the manipulation tactic on that, and there's a psychology behind it. If you see a tag of a shirt that says, well, at the other store it was $40, but we'll give it to you for $7. You're like, run it. I could then go tell people that this is a fucking $40 shirt that I'm wearing. I'm not going to tell them that I bought it for $7. It makes me feel expensive. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I got something that wasn't at Walmart. Because then when people ask me where I got it, I say Walmart. And then there's a negative
connotation.
Yes, that's attached to it.
The same connotation can apply to DD's, TJ Maxx.
That's what I'm saying. All of those discount stores that have high quality product to some degree, more so in the women's sections, and they have tons of shit.
They don't got shit for us.
Men is like, dude, when I was a kid, baller, bro. Like, you go there and find some cool stuff for school shopping. I think it's great for that. But a lot of these women, a lot of these dudes that are just in and out of there constantly, and they know when they get their shipments, they know when they get their stock dates, like on Wednesdays and shit, bro, it's packed out. People that live off barely nothing are in there packing it out, buying a gang of shit that they don't need. And then they wonder why their money don't stretch far. You're caught in the system and you're tricked to just spend your money on dumb shit. It's unfathomable to me that, like, you can correct a lot of the problem yourself. Like, it's all about money management and trying to figure out. And I understand, like, I'm not trying to just be a negative person on that. Like, yeah, you obviously want to have nice things or go get things and do stuff for yourself, just within reason. And arguing about eggs doesn't, like, I'm sorry, like, that's a fucking champagne problem compared to other people in the world. Like, tighten up, dog. Like, figure it out. The tax benefit, I think, is awesome on the big beautiful bill. For people that are out there working and you make a certain amount of money, especially if you're married, there's a lot of stuff that is incentivization for people to be a complete unit in a family. The child tax credit, I think they bumped that back to where it was, or it's for $2,000 per child. But I think you have to have like a 3-person household. Like, I don't think you get the tax credit if it's like a broken home. I think it has to be 3.
That's kind of sad. You should be able to.
If it is, I think you have to have 2 kids. 2 kids and a single parent. I think it has to be a 3-person household. So whether that's like the mom, the dad, and the child, and don't quote me on this, this is just what I read, the structure of it was like a 3-person household gets a tax credit. So that could, I think, either mean both parents are involved and then they have their child and they get that tax credit, which would be $1,000 each. It's not like they each get $2,000. Or you have 2 children and a single parent, and then you're able to get the 2,000
per child.
Per I think it's per child. I think that's what it used to be. The other thing is you get your tax credit based off of filing joint. There's a breakdown. I don't have it recalled to memory, but they have a breakdown of what those thresholds are for the benchmark of your income of what you make and then what you would be taxed and receive. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, which left and right should both fucking agree on that. Like y'all should
not be taxed on tips, especially if you're not even getting the tips that they're assuming you're getting. Like the servers, they end up making like $4 an hour because they tax them on expected tips versus the tips that they actually get.
Yeah, because they're estimating for what you could have received off of cash tips.
Which is bullshit because people don't fucking tip in this economy, bro.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Depending on the world that you're in, like the nightclub world was pretty fucking nice.
Yeah. That's because they're all drunk.
and the volume, dog. Yeah. We have a 300 and something capacity venue. I'm serving me alone. We have 5 bartenders in a night.
It's like $2,
and we're all serving 100 people.
Yeah.
Like you're
more
serving,
than once.
Yeah, you're serving 3 times what that venue can hold just in people ordering 5 times,
yeah,
and you're getting
tipping each time,
dude. Yeah, and at the end of the night, you get a bigger tip. You get a couple bucks here, you get $1 here, you get nothing there, you get nothing there, you get nothing there. Then you get 20, a 5, a 10 people that tip good. You're also like running people food and shit like that, and so anyways, that world, yeah, you can make a good amount of tips, but luckily the nightclub that was real shaky, and we can talk about that shit at another time. But
you got some nightclub stories. I forgot we're supposed to talk about nightclub.
I know. Well, you know what? When we do segue real quick, when we do the podcast on number 7, and I make you the old fashioned, I'll bartend on here. I'll make you an old fashioned.
I'm on heart medication. I don't know if I could.
Sip it slow, brother. Let me know if you can't. That's fine. But I will make you one on episode 7, and I'll do story time, and I'll do breakdown of some crazy shit that happened in the nightclub. But yeah, so the taxes and stuff like that, I think some of them are awesome. I know that there's probably some negatives about the bill. I'm not the person to ask. I can't tell you all that, but I do know from what I've seen, like those things are important. No tax on overtime is super important. If you're out there as an American and you're busting your ass, I don't care what skin color you are. I don't care how you got here. That's not what I'm talking about. So let's deviate from that. I'm just saying American as like blanketed that we're in the United States. If you're a fucking American and you bleed for this country and you love this country and that's why you're out here just hustling and working your ass off, and you can receive a paycheck where you're not worried about these things and you pay your taxes off of your paycheck and it's not under the table, I think you should get no tax on overtime, dude.
Yeah.
Like, because that's going to incentivize you to work harder, to work longer, and not be burdened by, damn, like I make $30 an hour. Overtime, I'm making $40 an hour. Or $48 an hour.
And after tax, you're back to making $30 an hour.
Exactly. And then all that OT, I'm being taxed like a motherfucker on it. And so it's like, what, I just did nothing for OT. You're not going to see it on your paycheck, but you'll get that back in tax season. When you file for your taxes, it'll estimate the hours that you worked into overtime, and then they'll be able to then give you that money back. So you might get $10,000 back, $5,000 back. That's a huge benefit to your family.
Yeah.
And if we start looking at how this affects you and your family, and stop being worried about everybody else in this manner of being mad about shit that does not pertain to you, I would say just shut the fuck up. Think about you and how this affects you, and then focus on that. Create the world on how you look at things and how it affects your family, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. Being mad about like the food stamps and all that shit's being cut. It's not being cut. It's not being cut, dog. It's not being cut. You could look at that. It's not like Medicaid, Medicare, Medi-Cal, all that bullshit. It's not being cut. People are being dropped from it, and they're having to reallocate for what it needs to be addressed to. You know how many people in the medical industry over the past month went to fucking prison because they were stealing money, falsely running people's insurances that didn't need to be ran.
What the cardiologist was trying to do to me.
That didn't need to be ran, and they all went to fucking jail. And some people stepped down, some people quit, some people took a different position, changed the position of their name's position, and all this different stuff to avoid themselves from going to prison because they were doing wrong, bro. That's what you need to look at. Stop being confused by your hatred for somebody that's in office and start looking at like what's happening in the industry. Like I said, the evil that has been there forever. It's been there from Obama. It's been there from Bush. It's been there from fucking Kennedy. It's been there. That's what you need to look at, dog. Instead of being caught, just being mesmerized and manipulated by the snake eating its own tail, look at the reality of how that even started and what has always been there from the jump. That is where you'll start to find some truth. That is where you'll be able to start to develop a real opinion on what's actually going on and not being confused by CNN, MSNBC, and all these bullshit people, Fox News, whatever it is, your left or your right, that are all demonizing each other. Like,
it's just a big pissing contest.
That's what it is. And it's all about who's right and who's wrong. And I can tell you right now, I don't care who the fuck you are, more times than not, you're probably wrong. And you're wrong if your opinion is based off of hate and anger and despise for somebody else. You're never going to be able to listen to somebody. Like, you wouldn't do that with your friends. If you had somebody that was a part of your friend group and all they ever did was talk shit on everybody when they were around you, but they were like, but I wouldn't do that to you, bro. Like, you're my boy. Like,
yeah, imagine what they say behind your back.
You would think like, oh, this motherfucker's for sure doing that about me when he's over there. That's what politics are.
Yeah.
Politics, I'll go on your podcast and I'll fucking bump shoulders with you and all da-da-da-da-da and play this like, this like sugarcoat back and forth like volleyball sesh where everything's cool, we're being kind and courteous. And the minute I'm off this motherfucker, I'm talking about how you're stupid and this and this and that. And I'm going on this other podcast where I have to cater to them and to their audience and to be this way. And then you're like, I'm not getting any version of this person that's real.
Yeah, you don't know what is because you're just getting an opinion or a persona in each setting,
Yes.
They just adapt to the setting.
It's wild, brother. But that is, if there's any possible way that like I could push forth anything, it's like leave your identity politics behind you, man, and think about people as a unit. Think about people as like as a whole and a totality collective of how this affects everybody. Is how it affects you. How it affects you is how it affects everybody in different ways. And if it doesn't affect you, and if it's not something you should be focused on, then maybe you should allocate your ideas and your thoughts into how that it affects your family, because your kids are what matter. Your wife or your husband, your spouse, whatever it is, that's what matters. Like, your friends are what matter. Your community is what matters. And if you can't heal that, if you can't be a part of that, and if you can't put that into perspective of trying to make that a better place, how could you ever expect the world to be reflective on that status? You know what I mean? It's insane to me, as people are just so eager and willing to be mad, and like they show that everybody online caters to rage baiting, because statistically people respond more times than not hate. Off of hate than ever being positive. You could sit there and like you could sit there and scroll on your phone and just say, for like instance, you're just scroll, right? Boom, a video pops up, and a video pops up that you're scrolling through, and it says like, always focus on love. Keep scrolling.
Yep.
Because you didn't stop to see always focus on love. What is this person talking about? So let's continue. Scroll. Fuck that bitch. What? Let me go back. Fuck that bitch. Oh shit. Yep. Let me tap in. Yeah, you know what? Let me get in the comments.
What's crazy about comments is like, people often will have positive thoughts in their head that they hold to themselves whenever they see a creator, but they won't necessarily leave a comment letting that creator know their positive thoughts. They'll just keep it in their own head. But the negative people that exist, the haters that exist, they're first to let the creator know, like, yo, you fucking suck. I hate you. You're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. Because negativity always outweighs positivity in the shock factor. And that's what's sad about this society, especially with social media. You know, engagement is like, you're more, even as a creator, like me, myself personally, I am more likely to respond to a negative comment than a positive one. And it's fucked up. It's sad. You know, like, I wish I could have that same attitude towards the people that actually appreciate it, you know? But it's just like, you kind of get wrapped in the cycle, because it's like, you're scrolling through these comments, right? You're reading all of them. I read all my comments, and like all the positive ones, like, yeah, in my heart, I appreciate you. I know that, you know, but like, it's hard to respond to all the positive ones, because there's always going to be, at least in my case, is like, I have a lot more positive than negative, right? So it's like, I have all these positive comments. I can't respond to every of them. Like, there's thousands of them. It'll take me forever to respond to all of them. But then out of the 1,000 I just scrolled through, I see one where it's like, oh, I hope you die from cancer. And I'm like, oh, like that one stands out of all of them, because that one is like, why the fuck would you say that to somebody? Yeah. You know? And then so like, I am more inclined to respond to that. Like, yo, like why the fuck would you say that to somebody? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's fucked up, because it's like, I'm doing a disservice to like my people that actually are leaving good comments. And like, you know, like, it's not like I don't respond to any positive comments. Like,
no, you do all the time.
Yeah. I always respond to like whatever I can.
I think what you're saying is the force field that we have built around us, the ones that easily break through is
Yeah.
the negative.
The
And
negative.
that is like where you fall into like a justification to try and tell them like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say that. Da, 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 da. Or something that doesn't deserve a comment. Like, what the fuck are you gonna say back to somebody that says like, I hope you die from cancer?
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna say anything back like, hey, you shouldn't say that. No.
Yeah.
Usually people that will army with you in your comments, they'll go and tell
They'll
them
go
like,
and
hey,
tell
that's
them.
fucked up. Like, don't say shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
what happens if that was
That
your
happens.
mother? Like,
I
what happens
appreciate
if,
them.
right? And
Yeah.
that's how it should be. You should let those people be like, that's not what this space is about. That's not what we do here.
Yeah.
And those people can do that. And that all you are is a reflection on the comments that are good.
Yeah.
Like, those people will stick around, and those people that usually tend to leave hate comments are like passerbys. They're like,
Yeah.
it's like a drive by.
And they don't even
They're
have like
just-
profile photos.
Exactly.
Or
And
nothing.
a lot of it's
pussies.
like bots and things like
Yeah.
that. And like, there's a huge majority. It's like 80 something. It might even be higher than that percentage of all things that are done on the internet are not even by humans.
Yeah.
It's just all AI and bots from different places, China, Russia, probably even ones that are integrated here in the United States from different companies, corporations, because they know that certain things will get people riled up. If we have this good person and we could turn the chat toxic, then we've won, because now everybody's turned on one another and they stop focusing on the person that's
That's what they
preaching the
did during
message.
the election too.
Yeah, that's what they'll do always. Which I'll tell you, I can't tell you this on the pod, but I
want to know.
Yeah, no, I have something I need to read to you of an experiment that I did on my phone with ChatGPT that,
It's a little concerning.
oh, buddy. Yeah, so I'm sorry, guys. Maybe after I tell him, he can tell
we
me
can field it.
whether
Yeah.
or not I could bring this up at a later time. But
I'll
right now,
review
I
it.
just I don't necessarily feel as weird as it is to say, because I'm a pretty open, like, fuck everything kind of guy. Like, I'll just say whatever. But in this particular thing, I'm like, maybe I should tread lightly.
Yeah.
Because this is like this new ground of where this is going, and I don't know the ramifications of what this might have on myself or other people. And it's weird to say that, but I truly believe it, and whatnot. But it was shocking and weird, and then it's had me in a blender lately just thinking about it. But a lot of what happens with corporations and stuff, it's all about money. Like I said, always, dude, snake eating its own tail. It's just what it is. It's this cycle. No matter what you allocate or put that principle to, it's where it's at. And what is happening right now is because they know that, like, we can sway people's opinions by causing a stir and causing the ability to demonize people and put their own beliefs and politics into an identity into things. You can then sway those people. And there's too much that I have seen that excuse me, that pride and ego, and the more that you're able to become fluid, and that will always be at the forefront of, like, what I believe. Like, if you become fluid, and it's like water, like, nothing penetrates water. Like, you can't disturb the water in the sense of changing it to be anything other than water. It's going to be able to mold and shift itself around whatever environment that it is. Like, if a boat sinks into the water doesn't become the boat. The boat becomes part of the water.
Yeah.
The water still remains itself. It flows through it. It flows around it. It just continues to be what it is. If you could be undisturbed and still remain who you are, and this may be like a loose analogy, so bear with me and pardon me, but what I'm saying is, like, Jet Li and other people have talked about this, and other philosophies, like what it means to be fluid and what it means to not be affected and be changed by those things, but yet those things just become a part of the environment that you flow through, right? And that is important, that when you're thinking about politics, you're thinking about people, you're thinking about things, you're thinking about ideas, like, let it be fluid, let it come through you and pass through you and not become who you are. Don't become that thing. Like we talked about with your identity within, like, music, and the thing that you do is not who you are. You are you, and you are these things that led you to doing that thing. And those are all symbiotic in their own way, but it is not integrated specifically into the makeup of who you are as a human. And when you allow that stuff to affect you in that regard, whenever you're online or you're doing certain things, it's hard for you not to be like, no, I'm ready to die on that hill as a Democrat or Republican, or as a believer or a non-believer, as whatever it is, doesn't matter. Then you tend to then become that thing. So if they could infect that area and create it into being disturbed and mean and heart-wrenching and vile, and you've identified with that, it starts to creep into who you are and
It'll
make you something
infiltrate
you're
you.
not. And you're
Yeah.
like, fuck, I was never like this. Why am I now like this conspiracy theorist? And
I became a fucking conspiracy theorist.
in some ways
Yeah.
it is justified, but I think that you can discern the two whenever you have actual testimonials and actual things that have happened to you in your life that you're like, okay, no, like this clearly is what it is. Like now I'm able to develop opinions based off of what has happened to me,
What you've gone through.
and not like just people that are speaking into your ear about stuff that has happened. It's like, with war, it's like you have all these people that are showing you things and talking to you about things and who's right and who's wrong, but you were never there.
Yeah.
So all of your ideas and opinions are going based off of whoever you trust to believe, to follow. And then you're like, oh, that aligns with me. That aligns with how I think. That aligns with how I am. So therefore, maybe that they're right. And that's now my identity. And that's what and if you don't agree with that, then you're wrong and you're evil and you're bad. And it's like, where do you even get that
like,
from?
Whoa there, chill.
Where do you even get that from?
Take a chill pill, Kill Bill.
Yeah. So, be fluid and try to leave your ego and your pride and everything at the door. And realize that is a lot of times it is the devil. It is like there is lies within self. It's like because you allow things to come in and then you want to identify with that. And then you're like, well, then it has to be true because I identify with it. It is, you look in the mirror and you're like, it is me. That is, but you're like, no, you let that into your space and it's infected you. And now you're manipulated into thinking that it's a part of you because there are certain aspects of it that ring true. And now you don't know what's right and what's wrong. You feel
it's because people don't make
they
don't make their own opinions, man. People just listen to whatever the next person
it's
like
internet and groupthink.
Yeah, it's sheep mentality, man. You just listen to whoever you respect. If you respect one person, you listen to all their opinions, and now they're your opinions.
But we all just to say, and I don't mean to cut you off, but we all fall victim of that.
Yeah,
like
of course.
I'm not at all ever trying to come off as like that I'm this perfect fucking person and I do all these things. It's a constant.
That's what it's called, influencers.
Yeah, it's a constant practice to try and be more accountable for myself. And like I said, and we'll have to circle back around to that too, but like, checking for inventory, dog. Like every day you're like, oh, okay. Like, dude, there are people in certain podcasts that I listen to religiously, but to know that like this is not my Bible, this is not Christ, this is another human that can be flawed. And if you listen to those people and they are willing to tell you that, hey, I'm probably not right now, then you could be like, oh, now I could just take what you're saying as opinion and not fact, and then I can then figure out if that's real to me. I don't have to take that as being like, damn, I listen to this person every day, they're my pastor, they have to be telling me the truth, therefore that what he's saying has to be right. Because
but people don't give those disclaimers. People just like they preach social media, online, pastors, whatever, they preach and then they say it as if it is a fact versus saying like how we have been saying. It's like, hey, this is not medical advice, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah. Like not knowing, dude, I don't even know a fraction of the big, beautiful bill. I'm only trying to give you what information I know. And then I would tell everybody, like we talk about advocacy, do your own research. Like, don't take what I'm saying as fact. Even if some of this shit I read directly off of it and I'm just reciting to you what I've read, don't take that as being like, oh, Kev's
go
right.
Read it yourself.
Go read it. I could just be a path. If you like my train of thought, if that stuff is intriguing to you, if you're like, hey, this guy seems like he knows what he's talking about, or he has good intentions in his heart, and I don't feel like he's being weird and manipulative, and I'm somebody you want to listen to, fine. I try and do a good due diligence of not leading people astray and not putting forth too much of my own opinion and trying to be like, no, that's fact. And if you don't listen to me, you're a fucking idiot. It's like, bro, what kind of person would I be if I did that? Like, let's just go into everything I say is that I don't know.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm right. Maybe time will tell that I'm right, but I don't know.
Putting our thoughts out there, you know what I'm saying? Just like free flow, free think.
Yeah. There's
brainstorm.
And I wish I knew the fella's name. That all gets to blender in my head when it comes to.
There's too many names.
Yeah, when it comes to like philosophers and like even stuff out of the Bible, I'm like, fuck, who was that again? I'm just good at recall to stories and quotes and shit like that, but to try and attribute them to names all the time, I fall short. So my apologies. But it was something along the lines that to say that it's like I don't even know where it comes from. When I write something and it feels prolific and I look at my hands and I'm like out of touch, not in a negative way, but like I've done something that I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
or I've written something that felt like it came out of me but not from me. And I would say that that is important for people to just try and remember, that like you should probably attribute the things that you've done that are good to not be from you, that you are just a vessel that was given the blessing and opportunity to do that. And when you do service to that by nurturing that and nurturing that aspect of you, you open yourself up to being able to receive and do more of that, because it is a gift and it is a blessing. The divine does not put into you negativity that you are to push forward. That is not how that happens. I think that that is integrated into you from being too involved in the world, to too involved in things, too involved in bullshit, that then that like secretes from your pores, that is trying to eradicate itself from you, and then it affects other people. When you do something that feels like you can't fall in, like this, you can't fall into flow state by jerking off. You know, like you can't fall into flow state by being negative. You hear you're euphoric for 2 seconds, you know, when you're like, oh, you know, and then you're right back to feeling bad about yourself, like you weren't fulfilled by what you did. There are negative actions that feel good in the moment, therefore, because you're so pent up and angry that then exploding on somebody else.
Literally.
Yeah. On someone else, to someone else.
You gotta say it like that, bro.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, pardon me, brother.
Excuse my French.
You only feel good for a moment. And then that's the same thing with arguments or just being vile and being rude to people. But true fulfillment and stuff comes from like the amount of capacity that I have to give and like do for others and love others and do kind little things, of not looking back to see if they notice that I did it, but just to do it and then keep moving with your life, and then hoping that that echoes on forward. And when you're doing something that has purpose, that radiates from you, it's coming from a flow state. And that's whenever you fall into that. That's when you feel connected to some divine or something that's like moving through you that you don't know, and trying to tune yourself properly to that signal. And the closer that you get, like if you're talking about an old radio and it's static, wait, I can kind of hear the message coming through. Like I kind of hear what it is. Oh, you tune it a little bit more this way. It's all about tuning your frequency where now that message is coming through clearly. And I think that's when we receive stuff from something divine, whether you want to talk about the universe, God, whoever you want to attribute it to. I'm not going to try and make this completely like religious, but for me and like my belief in God, it stems from me trying to tune myself every day to that frequency, that when I feel like it's becoming static, I know that I'm off track of being the best person I could be, or the best version of myself. And I'm not always going to have a clear signal every day. Some days it's going to take some work. Some days that there's things that I need to do, like go to the gym, hold myself accountable, and do these certain things that help me tune to that. And then the more days that I am tuned to that frequency, the better I am for the world, the better I am for myself of all, and the better that I am for the people around me. And then when you feel that energy from that person, sometimes that helps you tune to a frequency, your own. That helps you be inspired. Is like somebody nudging you where you bump that signal and you're like, oh,
I need a taste of that.
Yo, we're all in this groove. And I think that's like when we work on music and things come out so like effortlessly and beautiful. It's like we've created this, like each of us are in this own frequency that is of our own, but connected to the same source.
Yeah.
And it's like it would be like plugging into a wall socket, but instead of it just being one prong, it's like a power strip. We're all plugged into that same thing. We're all receiving power from that same thing. Therefore, we are all being charged in a different capacity. Maybe somebody had 35%, somebody had 90%. And then it's just one of these things that we're all feeding off of
each
this
other
and then attributing.
The
Yes. And that is something that I try and focus on every day. When things are hard, I'm like, instead of being like, damn, this shit's hard, or damn, like, fuck this, and being mad and burdened by it, I'm like, oh, God's putting me through this because there's something to learn here. Whether it's obedience, whether it's discipline, whether it's knowing how to pick up your cross with grace. You know, God says, Jesus says in the Bible, like, when you fast, wash your face. And then you're like, well, what does he mean by that? And a lot of people and like theologians break it down. And like, even whenever you try and discern what it means inside of you, of like, oh, it doesn't mean, oh, you need to wash your face when you fast. No, he's saying fasting is when you eliminate things from your body that you yearn for that you don't mean. It doesn't necessarily just mean food. It's just allocated to that back in the day, but it could be from substances that hinder you. It could be from porn. It could be from whatever it is that makes you feel like it's a hindrance to your life. When you fast, you are on track to a clear connection with God because there are nothing that is in the way that is keeping you from that. You are removing these roadblocks. You're removing these things that mess up your signal, and washing your face means to wear it with grace. To wash your face, wash the pain from your face. Don't carry, yes, inside you may be struggling during this time. It's in a good way that you're struggling because you're on path to becoming stronger and better and have a stronger relationship. But you don't want to then have people look at your face knowing that, well, them knowing what you're going through, and then they don't want to do what you did because they see that it bothers you. They see that you don't like it. They see that you're in pain. Where if you said, no, God is testing me right now and I'm going through this, and therefore I get to choose how I reflect that image to the world, is going to mean that I am a vessel that is reciprocative of what I'm going through and leading other people to Christ, leading other people to their fulfillment, leading other people to what they could receive from this world by how I look outward, how I reflect. And when people can see, like, man, he's going through a lot, and he still holds a smile on his face.
Yeah.
That gives people inspiration. That's what you do on your TikTok page. Yeah. That's what you do when, yes, people can see you are carrying your fucking cross. Sometimes your shoulders aren't always as high. Sometimes your head is a little low, but you respect everyone. You are a hello, how are you? Like, yes, ma'am, like laughing, smiling, going through this, finding these little spurts of joy through what hardship that you're going through. It radiates outward through a phone onto people that are watching that, and they are like, man, I can't imagine what he's going through right now. And look at the way he carries his cross. Look at the way that he goes through what he goes through with elegance because he's washed his face. He's giving me inspiration. I don't even have cancer. I know I need to go and be more cautious about my health. This guy is doing all of that. What the fuck am I doing? Why am I not doing that? Why am I just laying around taking for granted the health that I have? No, I need to be more like him.
See, I never even thought about it like that because the impact of social media and the impact of sharing your life, like, you know, I know that there's a lot of people that have watched my videos and, you know, have messaged me and DM me telling me like about their health problems, their loved ones' health problems, you know, so it's like, it's cool to be able to, you know, inspire people to take better care of their health, advocate for themselves. Don't just listen to whatever doctors say all the time, you know, also form your own opinions as well. Do your own research, figure out this medical terminology. We have ChatGPT, utilize it, you know what I'm saying? Like all of those things. But like, yeah, it's like, it kind of blows me away sometimes, like how much impact, you know, just a video I post off my phone can have, you know, just even like the way you talk to nurses, the way you have a certain attitude towards cancer treatment and like going through chemo. And it's like, when I look back at chemo now, it's like, it was 6 weeks ago, but it feels like a blur. Like it feels like that whole time I was living somebody else's life, and I kind of like disassociated myself from cancer in a way. I kind of lost myself a little bit just because it's like the whole time I was going through chemo, the whole time I was doing treatments, going to all these tests, doing all these other things. I wasn't thinking about it as like, I'm going through this. I thought about it as like, oh, this guy's going through this. Because it's like, cancer is not who I am. Cancer doesn't define who I am. That was just a part of me that had to endure all of that. But then now when I look back at it in remission, I'm just like, you know, like it doesn't feel real because it doesn't feel like I went through all of that, even though I did. It feels like, oh, that guy went through all that. The other part of me, you know what I'm saying? It's like a weird like disassociation thing. Maybe that's just how I cope with everything.
Right.
Just try to separate as much as I can, you know, just because it's like, I don't want to go through that for the rest of my life. Right. I don't want to have cancer. I mean, who does? Like, I don't want to be in fucking hospitals and chemo and feeling like shit all the time. It's like, I just want to feel normal again, you know? And that's like the number one thing through remission is like, you want to feel normal, but you know in your heart, like you will never be normal because you went through this and the chemicals are still in your body and they will probably always be in your body. You don't know what health issues will arise later in the future. And like, it's hard to be positive all the time when you know that in the back of your head that at any given point, either the same cancer comes back or a malignant secondary form of cancer will come back due to the treatment from the first cancer. And you kind of have to live the rest of your life with that in the back of your head. And like, that has been the most difficult part. And yeah, just the way I've been dealing with it is just disassociation, which probably isn't the most healthiest thing. But but like also sharing my story online, helping connect with others, and like, hearing other people's stories who have gone through it worse than I have as well. Like all of those things have helped me grieve kind of through this process of just like everything, taking it all in. But it still doesn't feel real, bro. It doesn't feel like I went through all of that. It doesn't feel like I'm a cancer patient. Like still saying that out loud trips me
Right.
out. Or like even a cancer influencer. Like I never saw that for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's probably how other people view me that don't know me personally. Like, I have a pretty big audience on TikTok. I just got verified on TikTok for cancer videos, but like it feels weird because it's like I don't want cancer to be my identity, but at the same time, I've been preaching cancer as my identity by helping other people get through it and sharing my experience. But like that's not who I am. So it's like I still have a sense of imposter syndrome, even though I went through all that. I did do all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I did have cancer. I did do chemo. But I don't want that to be me, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like a constant battle between disassociation, reassociation, back and forth. Feels like a split personality at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that disassociation. It's probably super normal, when you go
Yeah.
through something that's so difficult and you're like, how? Like it doesn't even feel real because you're like, I
doesn't.
was good not long ago, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, I'm thrown into this journey that I'm on where I have to find some normality in chaos,
Yeah.
some sense of grounding, and you found that through connection and inspiring others, even if that wasn't your intent of being like, no, I'm gonna be inspiration. No, you were open enough. Shouts out to Open.
Literally.
you were open enough and vulnerable enough to say like, I'm probably going through the hardest thing that I will ever go through in my life, and you had to and had the ability to make a decision in that moment of how you were going to go about it.
Yeah.
And the fact that that was the path that you chose, and you said, okay, I'm gonna make purpose out of a purposeless, what it feels like in the moment situation. I'm gonna make encouragement for myself to be able to look back at this and to not feel like it was just a blur. So it's not to say like, oh, I am a cancer patient or just a cancer survivor, but you are like a beacon for people that are going through it. And that has been a sense, as much as you are aiding other people in their journey, you were that
Healing
person for
myself.
yourself.
Yeah.
Because it is easy to go through hard things, and a lot of what trauma does is we block it out.
Yeah. I think
Traumatic
that's what
experiences, and you disassociate yourself from the person that's going through it, because it's sometimes crippling mentally and emotionally, where you're like, this is so difficult, I have to try and remove myself. Like a lot of people don't feel like they were in war until they get home.
Yeah.
Because in the moment your adrenaline is just depleted at all times. I mean, it's just, or you're redlining your adrenaline. You're in this like war fog where everything is just about survival. It is about this. It is about this moment. It is about protecting yourself and your brothers and trying to get home. And then you get home, and then everything comes.
That's how I feel.
And then it can come with depression and anxiety of being like, holy shit, like there is no escaping this. And a lot of times, and I didn't fight for my country. I'm not didn't fight in the war. So I'm saying this cautiously, but from what I've heard from people talking about their stories, it seems like it is like a placement of trauma that you can't necessarily run from. And so a lot of times the depression comes forward when they don't find purpose afterwards, because that calls upon you so much of sacrifice and so much of this, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be alive tomorrow. And I'm sure that is how you feel when you're fighting an internal battle.
Yeah.
You're at the front line every day. I don't know how I'm gonna be tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna be here a week from now or a year from now or a month from now or whatever, minutes from now. Anything could happen. Everything is a scare. You're constantly being like, oh, what is that noise? What is that? What is that? What is that? Oh, what do I see over there? Like, in this heightened sense of paranoia, that then whenever you're like, remission, I'm home.
Yeah.
I made it from the front line. I'm home. I accomplished the mission. You almost feel false. Like, this can't be real, because I got thrown into this chaos that now, that if I don't have a sense of that going on,
You feel off.
You feel like this is not normal now. Like, peace, what is peace? Like, that doesn't make sense. So you have to reintegrate yourself into having a relationship with what that means. And I think that is purposing yourself inward and outward of what you've gone through. So being able to still talk about, you know, remission and cancer, and knowing that like I'm not just putting that in a box in the basement to say this is something I've gone through that my grandchildren can pull out, dust off, and be like, wow, my grandfather went through that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that to yourself, because those things never stop haunting you. You'll know where it's at all times, and you'll know you're avoiding it. And then you'll start to not even want to walk down that hallway because you don't want to see that door, because you know behind that door where that trunk is. And you know if you go to that door, you're going to go to that trunk, and then you're too scared to open it because of everything that's going to overflow back into your world. And then you create these boundaries from yourself. And then there's a part of you that you're like, wow, I've lost that piece of me because I was scared of it, because I disassociated myself for so long that now I can't fight that thing of acknowledging that anymore. So it's better for me to ignore it. And now that I've ignored it, I have this empty, eerie feeling that's constantly over my back and my shoulders of why does things not feel normal? And it's probably because you've taken a piece of yourself that you thought was bad because you couldn't find purpose in it. And that's what happens to a lot of people. They think their purpose is only on the battlefield and only there. And then whenever they come from there, they're like, oh, now I'm split, like you said. And you using this on TikTok and Instagram and talking about it and showing it and life after it, you're carrying it with you.
Yeah.
Not as a burden or a shackle, but saying that this is a part of me and it's something that I've gone through and there is purpose here. And I think that will help you sustain the ability to live with it and to not be burdened by it.
And heal from it.
Exactly. Because you're giving it the opportunity to heal it by talking about it, by sharing it, not by turning away from it because it's too difficult to look at.
I'm not ashamed of what I've went through, you know, like I had to go through all
that.
It's
important, you know, it's important to not be.
And like, I don't resent anything. I don't regret anything. Like whatever happened to me was beyond my control. All I could control was my attitude towards it while I was going through it.
Is how you go through it. Yeah.
So that's just the way I looked at it. And, you know, if I could be that beacon of positivity for anybody else going through cancer or chemotherapy or immunotherapy or whatever, like, I mean, I think that's my purpose, you know, because a lot of my life I spent questioning my purpose. Maybe it took me to go through this to help thousands of people on the internet going through the same thing. Maybe that was my life purpose.
Yeah.
You know, or at least in this portion of my life, it's purpose.
It's the path, man. It's wherever you're headed now. You know, it's all developing the entirety of what it is that you were put here to do. You know, everything that you've gone through, all the things prior to, years before you even knew that this was where you were going to be at. All of those things help refine. If you didn't go through, you know, making music at a young age, sharpening your tongue, knowing how to properly speak, being business minded, working to help other people launch their careers, whether editing podcasts or putting together music for people and engineering and doing all these things that you're like, this is all, I think, these little elements that then prepare you for how you can amplify that to the magnitude in which it was supposed to be used. And those were all these little additions to it. Your shots that you're putting up in the gym, like those are all these little things. So then whenever it was game time, which is like you fighting this battle, then you're like, maybe you wouldn't be able to put these videos together. Maybe you wouldn't be able to articulate it the same way or speak on it the same way with such grace if you didn't do those prior things that got you to speak properly, that got you comfortable in front of the camera, that got you being of service to other people through helping people and sitting down with them for hours doing their music and doing this, that, and the third. And then you're like, oh, this feels second nature to me.
Yeah.
So now you're not fighting two battles. How do I learn how to do all this and fight cancer? It's like, no, all of this I've been doing. So now it makes me effortlessly be able to talk about my journey, talk about these things, and put forth a perspective that is refined in my ability to have already been a creator, to now take this thing that I'm dealing with and know how to do it with grace and elegance in the way that you have. And so those are all, I think, that's not the one all be all thing, brother. Like, I don't believe that that's like God's definitive plan is not for somebody to just be a cancer survivor. It's this was the big hurdle you had in front of you that you were tested to see how are you going to be able to get through this. And the way that you did is now trajectory and your launch pad for where it is that you will go to next.
Lowest points determines your farthest trajectory.
Yeah.
I think a wise poet once said that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, not to always put an analogy behind things, but this is one that I had said in the past that is like, when you go to climb a mountain, right? And you're like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like this is so difficult. And then at the base of that mountain, all you see is the one in front of you, right? And you're like if I get to the top, like I guess this is like everything that I was meant to do. And then you're like getting all the stuff that you need, all the equipment, all the stuff, and like God provides, and it's like, you could keep telling yourself like, I don't have the right shoes for this. And next thing you know, God puts you in position to make some money, and now you have the money to get those shoes. So you're like, now I have a decision. Do I buy the shoes when I know I have to climb this mountain, or do I distract myself and go buy something else that makes me more comfortable on an excuse that, well, shit, I had the money, but I spent it. I didn't get the shoes I needed, so therefore I still can't climb the mountain. God will keep putting those things in front of you that says like, hey, I can't force you to do the thing that you were called to do, but I can put in front of you the opportunity to make those choices. So for you to then see, what do I want to do? Do I want to go forward to my destiny, or do I want to keep ignoring it? Because as free will, we have that ability to go towards that or not. It's your calling, or don't answer the phone. It is always your choice. And that's why we were given free will. So now when he says, oh, I put you in position, you said you needed money to buy the shoes because you need the shoes in order to climb the mountain efficiently. Okay. Boom. Next thing you know, you open up a door and there's an opportunity. You got some money and you're like, oh shit. Okay. I'm gonna go buy those shoes because I know that's what I need to do. Now I'm closer to my purpose. I'm closer to starting this thing that I know is going to be incredibly difficult. Boom. I got the shoes. I start to climb, you take that and then allocate it to your entire climb. It's like every time you feel like you're without, God will come through and he will provide, and he gives you the next thing. He gives you the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And the harder it gets, the more you're equipped to deal with that, because you've put your faith into him that he will provide even in the moments that you don't know what you're supposed to be doing or where you're supposed to be going, where the next placement for your hand is going to be, just hoping that rock doesn't come loose and you fall to your death. Like that is always what it is on this climb to purpose and this climb to things. Like there's the entire time of it, you're in solitude, it's just you against this mountain. And then you get to the top, and then you look back at where you came from. You're like, yes, I did it, I made it. And then you turn around from where you just climbed, and you look, and then there's a bigger mountain, and then you're like, oh shit, I gotta climb that. Yep. And it's like, oh, you would have never been able to climb that mountain if you didn't first climb that one. And by climbing it, you then revealed that, no, buddy, everything in your life, there's a downward and upward trajectory. You also have to, as you go down this mountain that you just climbed, on the back end of it, you have to do it with grace and with elegance, and you have to find purpose in that. You have to find that there is a reason you climbed it, for perspective, to see that there is something bigger in front of you. And you would have never been able to do that
unless you got to the
first one. And you would have never even been able to climb half of that mountain if you didn't do the first one, because the peak of this one is the half mark of the next one, and the top of that one, and then so on and so forth. And it is this callous nature that I think that you have to go through hard things. You have to purpose yourself in understanding the reason of doing that. And the climb down may seem easier. It may seem like, like I don't want to do this. Like I just climbed this mountain. Like it may feel like defeat. It may feel like failure. However, you may fall down that mountain. Who knows? But to do it with grace, and to do it with purpose, and to do it with knowing that this is a part of it. And that is where you're at right now. You are on the climb, not in a negative way. Let's not look at this as a downward trajectory. It's part of the journey. Everything you went through, remission. Mountain. I'm here. We just got here. And now it's this, what does remission look like? How do I live with it? How do I discipline myself in that? How do I find purpose in that? Boom. Now you have all those answers, if you do it right, at the base of that mountain, ready to climb to the next.
Yep.
And so that is always where it's like, when you think that this is it, it's not it.
It never is.
It's not it.
Life doesn't end until it ends,
Yep.
But yeah, hell of a conversation today, man.
Yeah, man. I love you, dog.
I love you too.
I'm proud of you. I didn't know where this conversation was going to go today. I apologize if I interjected quite a bit, but I did. I wanted you to really be able to express everything that was going on, and I know me and you haven't really talked deeply about it because of work and everything you went through. So a lot of what we talked about today is,
it's like our first time
and in a deeper aspect of everything, like all the different tests and so on and so forth. It's so I appreciate getting the opportunity to sit with you and talk about it, because it's like a debrief between each other.
Check for inventory.
And then check for inventory. You go ahead, partner.
I mean, that was my inventory. That was a lot of inventory.
First fire, yeah. I would imagine you want me to go, huh?
Yeah.
I'm good, dude. I'm good. I think I think I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, a work in progress is really what I have to say. You
Yeah.
know, there'll be a time maybe that I'll share some stuff, but it ain't gonna be today.
It ain't gonna be today.
And who knows when it would be. I'm not so great about talk about my own shit, but I do. My heart feels full whenever we have these convos and being able to talk with one another and to talk with everybody else. And even if, you know, at the beginning of our podcast, obviously we're not speaking to thousands of people, and I think that that's okay. It makes me happy to know that even if there's one person, two people, five people, it doesn't matter. Anybody listen to this, it really does mean a great deal to me. I know it does to you, and even if there was nobody, just the fact of you and I having conversations and giving this to the world, and it
Just
could be
airing
fluid
our
and
thoughts, you know.
fall where it needs to. Yeah, it's a blessing in itself. I find purpose in doing this, and
It's also therapeutic.
it is. It makes me feel tuned to a certain frequency that we're doing something that is important, and it's not to put a pedestal on that, like, oh, I'm doing something. No, it just feels that way. Even if it's just within just me only, it feels important. It feels full and makes me happy and privileged to be able to sit here and talk with you, dog. So
1000%, bro.
I love you, bro.
Love you too, big dog.
And as always, man, until next time, y'all.
Until next time, man.
Be smooth.
Thanks for tuning in. Take care of your damn health. Advocate for yourself. Question your doctors if you have to. Do your research. Use ChatGPT.
And explode on the world, dude. All over it.
You had to include that. All right, man. Till next time.
Peace.
Gone. Do, do, do.